All right, great stuff. There's the recording. Please note that this session is recorded and it is for our OBR400 students. So, ladies and gentlemen, first I will do my short presentation, share with you some thoughts and ideas on the upcoming exam. If you do have any questions, may I just request at this point that you write them down on a piece of paper, or you can make use of the chat with everyone function that is there on the right hand side, the bottom of the screen. It's the middle icon there. It will say chat with everyone. If you open that, you can also in the meantime post questions or remarks on that particular block there. After then I've done my presentation, I will then go back to see if there is and what is the kind of response, and respond to that. And I also will then allow for an open session for question and answering or any comments that you would like to make. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me first provide you just some feedback on the assignment. The office will start to release the assignment results. OBR400 is done and dusted. In general, there's some very good work. And I also would like to congratulate everybody, as I've noticed that a very big improvement on the issue of similarity with the possibility of plagiarism. So I see that most of you definitely have taken that at heart, and you have started to improve that. And that was great to see how students have improved the way that they are writing. And it's a very important step, because now you start to learn how to write more academically and not just copy and paste. There are still a few students that were obviously high similarity. So, ladies and gentlemen, please just remember that the similarity has now been phased in over a number of years, and we are going to step up. And as we're going into the future from next year, there will be penalties for similarity. But as similar as this year, you will have the opportunity before you submit your assignment to submit and rework and resubmit and rework until you get below that required percentage. So from my side, welcome to everybody. Let me first start. Masekulo, if you can't do anything, I don't think it's on my side. Everything is working. This then might be on your side. So if you can't hear, it must be on your side. Can I just get a notion? Is there anybody? Somebody just tell me. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, great stuff. I just want to indicate to him here. All right, can I just ask again? Can everybody just mute their mics for me, please? Masekala, everybody else can hear me. I did write it there in the textbook. There's no more I can do regarding that issue there. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, let me start off by first of all just share my screen. Can somebody just indicate to me if you can see there? It is the exam preparation letter that I've got up there. Can just indicate if you can see this?
Yes, we can see.
All right, great, thank you, ma'am. There. All right. So first of all, what I'm going to do is to just work through the examination information sheet with you. Ladies and gentlemen, can you just mute your mics for me because it interferes with the recording? All right. Thank you. So I'm first just going to share with you some of the thoughts here on the examination info letter. Ladies and gentlemen, keep in mind that I already on Canvas, we have uploaded previous exam papers. There are some, the previous sessions were uploaded. So there already are quite a bit of information available there to help you in preparation for the exam. Also keep in mind is that there were some very good marks as well for the assignments. And thank you for that and for the effort and the hard work you're putting in there. And that always pay off. Right. So the question is, can I ask assignment questions? Yes, I can ask assignment questions. And for this exam, ladies and gentlemen, the second question in exam is very similar as one of the assignment questions. Can I ask static questions? Yes, I can. Can I also ask prescribed textbook? Yes, I can. So there are 3 hours, 2 questions. 2. So there's 1 question of 30 marks. That's question 1. And second question, 70 marks. That will be question 2. The question 1, which is 30 marks, are subdivided by 10, 10, 10. So it's 3 short questions. And those questions are all about, if I remember correctly, is change management. I will just confirm that it goes. Let me just admit the person here. Thank you very much. There we go. All right. All right. So there's an application question where you have to use the relevant theory, identify an organization challenge, analyze the challenge, and then provide solutions. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is question 2. And in the question, the framework in terms of how you need to approach the question will be provided in the exam. So there will be a structure that you can follow. Now, what is very vital and very important for question 2 is the fact that you need to have a broad understanding of the subject. So you need to understand organizational behavior from an individual, organizational, and a group perspective. I think, similar to the assignment. So again, it's very important to have a broad understanding. So obviously, in question 2, which will be an application question, which again, very much similar as what you have studied in your research, and what you will see is that the research methodology process that you follow, where there's a particular problem or a challenge you identified, and then how did you analyze that challenge, what kind of methods did you use, then what did you find within your analysis, and then eventually we'll come up with some suggestions on how to improve on that, some OD interventions, and those could be a range of a number of interventions that you can propose. It's not just training, but it could also be restructuring, it could also be policy development, it could also be refinancing, and so forth and so forth. So for question 2, ladies and gentlemen, a broad understanding. So therefore, it is critically important that in your preparation that you make key summaries of your entire syllabus. There is no single thing I can leave out. The aim of this subject is to make sure that you are able to function as an OD consultant, where an organization call you and say, we have a particular challenge, and you typically will then use a defined methodology. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, you do research methodology, because that is always a sound in the scientific methodology. And therefore, people in the OD world will use similar kind of methodologies when they experience a problem. And you'll see that there are similar things. Sometimes in OD, we have got different descriptive words to explain what we are doing. They may not always sound like research methodology words, but in this case, if you do have a proper understanding of the research methodology process in terms of identifying a problem, analyzing the problem, decide what kind of technique are you going to use, perhaps qualitative, quantitative, how you're going to collect your data, how you're going to analyze the data. But in the case you also just then present then the real life story. So again, in this question, you are more than welcome to make up the story. So you can almost write like a book. So you can tell me about your organization. You can tell me about any other organization. This could also include an NGO, non-governmental organization. It could include a church organization. It could even include your family, because that's also an organization. So you have various options of what kind of organization you would like to select. And for me, more important is I want to see, can you select the right methodologies? Can you focus on a broad spectrum of things, not just on the people and say, well, the people needs training. No, can you focus on what needs to happen in terms of teams and groups of people, what needs to happen in terms of the organization, its structure, its processes, its vision, its mission, its alignment, the way it's been structured, the leadership, the policies, the procedures. So there's a range of things, and I want to see if you are able to contextualize all of those things and bring that all together within that particular question. So you can make up things as you go along. So obviously, question 2 is an application question. I don't expect that you need to be able to recall the theory word for word. I am more looking for the application. I'm looking more for the practical part, but just make sure that whatever you present practical must be founded in theory. It must be grounded. So therefore, ladies and gentlemen, enable you to prepare properly for this exam is required a good understanding of the subject. You will hear quickly or clearly, I'm not saying you need to try to memorize the entire syllabus or the entire subject. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot do it, and I'm not going to expect from you to do that either. But it's about an understanding of the subject matter. If you can talk about the things that you have studied in Organizational Behavior 400. So how would you gain that kind of understanding? Ladies and gentlemen, there are numerous ways. Obviously, first is to read up and read more, because as you read more, you'll have great understanding. But you can also come together with friends and you can discuss different concepts and listen to everybody's understanding and clarification, because that also will help you to gain a deeper understanding of the subject. And keep in mind that the focus is still on aspects like people, leadership, structure, groups, and the organization. So typically what a syllabus or your material will cover. Also very important, ladies and gentlemen, do not try just to rely on your study guide. That's a very dangerous exercise, and you might come short in terms of the understanding of the subject. Make sure you use your textbook. Obviously, the question was asking the assignment. It's a good foundation for you, and if you've done very well there, you probably will find it quite also easy to tackle this question. So what I am doing in this process is to further build up your level of competence of the application of organizational behavior and ability to play in the role as an OD consultant and be able to identify organizational problems, look at them, sort them out, give advice. And what's quite important is obviously is that when you do that, make sure you follow a proper methodology. And that methodology is described within your and your study guide in your textbook. It is the content that is critically important. All right. Then, ladies and gentlemen, again, um, for your approach in the exam, as I've mentioned, your textbook are the key resource. So also make sure you read your questions very carefully as well as the instructions. Be careful not to miss something. You don't have to rewrite the questions. And then also important, just make sure you number your questions correctly. In this case, you don't have many questions. There were 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, and 2. So that is all. But it's also important that for question 2, that you provide a proper structure in the question with proper headings and subheadings. So, ladies and gentlemen, when you do headings and subheadings, it also provides you a way as to structure your thinking. So often when I need to answer this kind of broad kind of questions, where there is a broad range of things, I normally develop for myself a particular structure. So I normally do all the key elements and indicate that if I approach this is the following key things that I must discuss in my answer. And then underneath the key things, I normally have sub-key things and say, if the one is leadership that I'm going to tackle is going to be an issue, what under leadership is other key things? So it might, for example, be the leadership style or the lack of leadership that may be key things that I would like to address. And I normally develop myself then the structure with key words. And what I often then do is when I get to the exam, I will go to the back of the exam book and write down for me that structure that I'm going to use by all the keywords, dot them down, and all the sub-keywords, sub-keywords. And then I know, okay, I've got that. And I know, at least I know that this is my structure in which I would like to answer. And then obviously the content can then be filled in as then you go along, all depending on then the type, organization, and description of what is the problems and how you're going to deal with them and so forth. Okay. So yeah, pay attention to the mark allocation, which in this case is very straightforward. You've got 3 10-mark questions, 1 70-mark question. So obviously most energy and time will be spent on the other one. Answer all the questions, ladies and gentlemen. Even though you may start first with question number 2, make sure that at the end you leave a bit of time for you to answer also question 1, because that might just be the few marks that you're required to pass or to get a distinction. So never, never, never leave out a question. All right. It's very, very important. Okay. All right. And as I said, practical examples, obviously, and your question is more than 20. So I expect that there must be a sign of a structure with headings and subheadings, conclusions, recommendations. You don't have to do source reference, list of references now, ladies and gentlemen, is not required. That would be pretty unfair to ask that thing in the exam. All right, so question 1 will be about organizational change. So make sure that you study the whole concept of organizational change, study all those relevant study units that talk about organizational change in very, very detail, because there are very specific questions on organizational change. And then the second question is the application of all the theories discussed in your syllabus to relevant work-related challenges. So I did provide for you and your assignment the basics. It gave you a good platform. And for those who have done well, question 2 will not be a challenge, but it can be seen as another opportunity to actually test and experience and practice a little bit your skills as a proclaimed OD practitioner, because that is what OD people do. That's why you study organizational behavior. It is about looking at organizations, looking at their challenges. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, organizational behavior is not just about the challenge of people. It's much broader. So therefore, it's important that you need to focus on the entire syllabus and have a proper understanding of the subject knowledge. So that is very, very, very critical. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is therefore, in a nutshell, what you can expect in this particular exam. Keep in mind, you've got 3 hours. As I've mentioned for question two, you can make up information, you can build a story around that. So, I mean, if I were you and I get this kind of guidelines, I already start putting something for me together, put some ideas together and how to do that. All right, so that's in a nutshell pertaining to what the exam paper will be required from you for this particular exam. Right, so let me just stop my presenting part here, and let me first just see what kind of comments then I have here. Okay, Masakela, I hope now you can hear us. Question one is about change management. Change management. Moisel Isaacs, add me to the WhatsApp group. All right, guys, those of you who want to add Moisel there, Mr. Isaacs, more than welcome. All right, I don't see any other concerns. All right, so let me first ask, ladies and gentlemen, any questions from your side, any comments, anything that you would like to discuss or would like to ask before I'm going to make some concluding remarks? Yes, Masakala, I'm listening. You can just unmute yourself and just ask your question. Lombo, you can go ahead.
Good evening. No, I'm sorted. It was the hand up earlier. I can hear you now.
Oh, all right. That's great. I'm so happy about that. I'm very happy about that. All right. Anybody else there for questions, comments, responses? Mr. of Mrs. Lombo. Then there's also Mvila. You can ask your question, and or Lebogang.
Hello, can you hear me now?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, I'd like to check, since the exam info has got something about assignment questions and concepts, are we at some stage going to be expected to define certain terms?
To define something.
Are we going to be expected to define some terms or what? Because I'm seeing that.
All right, so ma'am, remember you are on advanced diploma level, which is NQF level 6. It would be very irresponsible for me to ask you to define anything. That you'll get in your first year, right? Maybe in the second year, but not on this level. However, having said that, you must just also remember that when whatever question you may get, it may require you to provide some definitions of certain concepts or to explain certain concepts. That may be required, but you'll definitely not just get a question, say, define change management, for example. I will never on this level do a question like that. So do you need to understand or be able to describe different concepts? Yes, absolutely. That is very critical.
Thank you.
All right, no problem there. Okay, right. Any other hands there? I think there were a few other hands. I don't see them anymore. You can just unmute your mic, guys, and just ask if you have questions.
Sir,
Yes.
Good evening. I just wanted to check for question 2, where you say application of all theory as discussed in the previous work. So you've also shared 4 exam question papers previously. So should we also look at those questionnaires?
Yeah, you can definitely look at previous question papers. It can definitely help you to prepare properly for the exam. Yep, definitely.
Okay.
I would definitely, if I have previous exam papers where they are like a case study and, and this an application question, I would definitely use that to work it out and get some good information ready, for my exam paper. Right. So I think what's quite important here, ladies and gentlemen, this is not a question paper to try to catch you out or anything, but this question paper is is testing your ability of your understanding of the subject, not to recall a number of facts and figures, but really your understanding of the subject. And if you look at organizational behavior, that you can understand that from the context of individuals, organizations, and groups, but if deeper, you can also understand that within that, there are aspects like leadership, structure, reward systems, policies and procedures, rules. So those are all the things that makes up a organization. And organization practitioners or other practitioners have got a profound understanding of all the various components of what an organization exists of. The purpose of the organization, the vision, the mission, in what kind of environment are this organization functioning in? What type of organization is this? What is the reason why this organization has been set up in the first place? So those are all the things that profoundly make a good organizational development practitioner. And so this exam paper is focusing on your ability for understanding the subject, and not just providing a range of theoretical answers. Definitely not. And keep in mind that all the concepts that you will work on, or all the concepts that you're going to address here, is things that you have studied in your diploma. If you think about what you've studied in management, for example, I'm pretty sure there you've studied about organizational purposes, structures, and processes. Somewhere you've studied about leadership. If you have done HR, you're studying this. You've studied business communication. You've studied about communication. In management, you've studied about environments. So in your first, second, and third year, you've studied all these concepts. So they're supposed not to be that unfamiliar at this stage. And therefore, you need to demonstrate for me you can now use them and apply them practically within a context. And then also, ladies and gentlemen, I did provide to you the breakdown of the breakdown of the whole application in terms of the different, let me call them headings, that you need to address, and which I would like to see that you do. So make sure that you answer in line with that structure that I've provided for you there, and use every aspect of the structure to properly answer the question. All right, good. Any other comments, any other responses, any other feedbacks? All right, are everybody happy?
Happy.
Okay, cool. All right, so you know what you can expect for the exam. I think that's very important for me. First of all is to just indicate to you what you can expect in the exam. That is the most important thing. And then, as I said, now just repeating it again, guys, remember, it's about understanding the subject, not your ability to recall pages and pages and pages of theory. That is not going to help you, but rather your understanding of the subject based on the current knowledge or the current theory that we have as we find in. All right. So please, it's also very important, not your own understanding. Once you get to your doctor's degree, you can start developing your own understanding, right? This case, your understanding must be based on sound theoretical knowledge and research, which is written up in your textbook. So you need to use that as your framework in presenting your case or motivating. So that's quite important there. All right, Mosel Isaac says it was helpful there. Okay, 100% catch the recording. I think Isaac, we're already almost done there. All right, guys. So if there is nobody else that have a question or anything, just a last thing from my side. Keep in mind as you go to your preparation, guys, you are more than welcome to still communicate to me, to talk to me, and by sending me an email. I will prefer that you send me an email. As you are going into study leave soon, I will be on study leave from next week. I'm not studying for an exam. I'm busy writing my thesis, and but I will still be available to respond on emails if you need anything urgently or need to clarify anything from me. Then I will upload this video either tonight or tomorrow on Canvas, so you can view it then a little bit later, again, just to make sure you have captured all the ideas that I presented. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, from my side then, great evening. It's all the way down now to the weekend, and I also see if you're on Gauteng, in some places, I see that the rain is coming our way, so thank you very much for that. For those is down in KwaZulu-Natal, stay safe, guys. If there is rain again, stay safe. Lombo, you have raised your hand again. You can unmute and ask. What is the question?
Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir. Just one last question. I'm clear about the exam scope, preparation rather. The thing is, I just came out of the hospital. I was hospitalized. I highly doubt if I did very well for the assignment. Now, if I happen to perform very well on the exam, do I still have a chance?
Let me just make sure I understand your question. You said that you submit an assignment or not?
Yes, sir, I did. But during that time, I was ill. I only got out of hospital today.
Okay.
So I saw on the email on the assignment that it weighs 50%, and I was
All right.
I was a bit worried about that.
Okay, tell me quickly, did you also do the online test?
No, sir.
All right. Okay. So that Lombo will bring down your year mark eventually, because your year mark, if you look at Canvas, is made up 70-30. So if you have 50 for your assignment, you're probably going to have a lower year mark than 50. So what it means basically, numbers, you will need, and I'm just saying it from the top of my head, but what I can hear is that you're going to need a minimum of 50% in the exam. All right.
All right.
Okay. So make sure you work for that. And I hope now you're feeling better, and I'm glad that you're out of the hospital as well.
All right. Thank you so much, sir.
No problem. All the best, sir.
All right. I should be fine.
Great stuff.
Thank you.
All right, guys. So if that is then that, thank you very much for attending the session, and also all the best for your studies going forward. And as I always say to my students, I do not want to see you next year for OBR400. Please, please, please. Any other subject, but not this one. So let's make it count, and let's get this one done and dusted, and we can have a nice holiday coming up. So all the best, ladies and gentlemen. I'll speak to you again later.
All the best for your thesis, sir.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yes.